Purdue football fans, what's going on? It's the Big Time Boiler. It has been a minute. I don't think I made a video since the pre NCAA tournament, maybe even Big Ten tournament for basketball, and we all know how that ended up ending. Pretty depressing. So anyway, it's been a minute. I thought, why not? It's almost football season, man. It's almost August. So why not get on here and get a video, get a live stream going, get some discussion going. This could be pretty quick or it might be lengthy. Depends on the participation. A lot has been happening in the world of Purdue football. Tons of transfers in, a few transfers out. Kind of just wanted to get on and discuss it. If you don't pay attention to either Purdue Rifles or On3, you definitely may not recognize this team. So with that, hopefully you guys can hear me okay. I actually had to make another video, had a previous video going on, but the audio was all screwed up, at least from my end. But I think it looks like we should be good to go now. But yeah, as always, guys, well, it's been a while, but if you want to join the show, feel free to click on the StreamYard link. You can either call in via video, you can use just your cell phone or whatever and talk. You don't have to show your face. Or if you just want to comment, feel free to comment and we can, any discussion questions you have, we can hit them. So I guess how I kind of wanted to start this off, where I kind of ended on my football live stream last time was the Ryan Walters hire. Actually, I don't even know if we even talked about Ryan Walters hire. I think we did. But anyway, kind of, what was expected of him. And honestly, at first, I was a little underwhelmed with the Walters hire. But, man, I'll tell you what, so far, I think you have to give him a pretty solid grade. Recruiting as a whole, high school recruiting as a whole has seemed to improve. They've gotten some very good quality players on campus for visits, something that didn't always happen under the last regime. Now, they might not be landing everybody, but they've landed some pretty good players so far, but they've gotten some really good players to visit. And so far, based off of articles and other insights, the overall theme and positivity of these visits are pretty strong. And it seems like this young coaching staff is resonating with these recruits. In fact, Ryan Walters is only 2 years older than I am, which is very hard to imagine. And Graham Harrell, the offensive coordinator, is not much older. So it's a pretty young staff. The average age probably has to be, low 40s, but they seem to be resonating with recruits and transfers. Transfer portal has taketh and giveth for Purdue football. So far, and actually have an Excel sheet that I'll kind of share in the screen and eventually here, but it will show you all the transfers we have coming in and also the ones we've lost, thanks to AZ Boiler from On3 that created that spreadsheet and shared it. But so anyway, again, if you're just joining on, feel free to leave a comment or what you want to discuss. But one thing I've noticed and kind of what I wanted to make this video and kind of get back into this is Purdue is definitely flying under the radar. This time of year in the summer, there's a lot of videos coming out, kind of getting amped up for the college football season, which is in a few months. But, this is kind of where things really start to get going. I remember even as a kid, this is when it was a thing. NCAA football was going to release, I believe, in June. I think it released usually. People got amped up for that. And, of course, we have to wait another year for that. But this time of year, the juices start to get flowing, and people, summer school gets out, and people are already getting amped up for football. But so anyway, Purdue's flying under the radar when it comes to some of these videos and just off-season discussion, but whether it be transfer portal rankings, record coming for record predictions for next year, head coaching rankings. Ryan Walters right now on every single list I've seen of offseason, head coaching Big Ten ranks for the 14 teams, not including UCLA and USC yet. Ryan Walters is ranked 14th, but at the same time, I kind of understand that you kind of just got to grade him incomplete. Tom Allen is usually ranked right above him at 13, but I would honestly probably put Ryan Walters ahead of Tom Allen right now. But I think Tom is a dead man walking. But the Purdue, I think the line Vegas is saying about 5.5 games. which I think is somewhat fair. I would hit the over right now with them. I'm a little bit higher on this Purdue football team, I think, maybe than most. This season, the schedule is tougher than last year. Is 8 games, do we have 8 wins on that schedule? Possibly. I think getting to a bowl game is obviously going to be the goal. And if they do that, I think no matter what, that's going to be a success. Getting to a bowl game, getting 6 wins. But obviously the health of this team is going to be absolutely crucial and vital for this team to stay healthy. As we'll see in a minute, Ryan has definitely got some good depth pieces from the portal, has some starters. He's completely flipped the secondary, at least the cornerback position. He's done a lot to add some depth. And so I think this team, if they can stay healthy, is going to be pretty salty. Plus, he obviously brings in a completely different defensive scheme. Purdue's had I think this is including Coach Kane, Kevin Kane, the new defensive coordinator. Even though it's Ryan Walters' defense, it sounds like Kane's going to call the defense. I think this is our 4th or 5th defensive coordinator in a row. I want to say going back to Nick Holt in 2019, he got fired. So these players are used to having new defensive systems, and once again they got a new one. But I think nobody's going to argue with me that this by far is the best defensive coordinator we've had in system, if you include Walters and Kane as a whole. But yeah, obviously the transfer portal, the transfer portal in itself has made it more fun these days to follow college football in the offseason, especially the spring. You definitely will need to buy your programs, especially if you're not a diehard Purdue football fan, for this upcoming season, because there has been a lot of turnover and a lot of new pieces. And with that, I am actually going to see if this is going to work. And again, if anybody wants to join in, hit the link. We can discuss pretty much anything you want related to Purdue. I'm going to share my screen, and I'm going to show. So hopefully this works. Yeah, I'm going to show the sweet Excel spreadsheet that AZ Boiler came up with. This is actually, though, a tab of my own. He's got the entire roster on here. How many scholarships that we have left. Actually, let me fix this. Sorry, I sorted it via transfer. It was usually sorted by position, but anyway, he's got the whole roster on here. I actually went and just put for transfers. So let's just talk about our transfers real quick. 15, I believe, is the number, not including the long snapper from Missouri that we got. But we have 15 transfers incoming, not including 2 could-be commits and one that might even drop while we're on this video in Markevius Brown from Ole Miss. But 15 commits so far. And we'll kind of go through it here in a second, but it's a decent number of newcomers. We'll fix that right there. There we go. Decent number of newcomers for Purdue. Obviously, it all starts with the quarterback, man, Hudson Card. He was an absolute find for this staff, for Walters and Harrell. Graham Harrell got hired, and I think on the I don't know if he even signed the paperwork yet, but he literally met Ryan on a plane in Texas, I believe. Ryan Walters brought him a Purdue shirt. He threw it on there, and they went and got Hudson Card. That was a big get. I mean, I've seen Hudson ranked anywhere from the second best to, or top. Basically, I think unanimously he's been a top 5 portal quarterback. I've seen him as high as 2. He was a good get. He was pretty good at Texas. He had a couple tough quarterback battles with Casey Thompson, who him and Casey kind of split. Kind of did their own David Blau, Elijah Sinlar thing. But he's got some talent. I think he was ranked 59th, I want to say, overall as a recruit. He was number 2, dual threat quarterback, ranked behind this year's number 1 pick from Alabama, Bryce Young. Yeah, so he's obviously got some talent. He played pretty good against Alabama on a hurt ankle. He played really good against West Virginia, 3 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. I think he had 300 something yards. So he can spin it and he also can run it. We have not had a dual threat quarterback really at Purdue since Drew Brees, maybe. Drew Brees wasn't exactly a dual threat, but he could use his legs. And people realize that Drew Brees got I think over 500 yards rushing one year. We've not really had that, especially with Aiden O'Connell, who, man, I loved Aiden. Aiden was a godsend for this program. Honestly, kind of saved Jeff Brom's bacon this this last season, him and Charlie Jones. But, man, you can imagine we did not have Aiden O'Connell this last season. We would have been in trouble, as we all saw against LSU. The quarterback position was hurting without Aiden. But Aiden obviously was slow-footed is an understatement, man. He was a statue. He finally, towards the end of the year, started running a little bit here and there when the defense just gave him part of like the Red Sea. But that's going to be a welcome change. I mean, it's going to be different too. And obviously, Graham Harrell brings the spread offense, the air raid, if you will, some variation of that, which should be a little bit different than what we've had at Purdue, but kind of similar to Joe Tiller's, basketball on grass. But also brought in another quarterback recently in Bennett Meredith from Arizona State. Purdue was really hurting with some not decommitments, but some transfers out at the quarterback position. Brady Allen just left. Michael Limo just left. Brady Allen actually literally just committed to Louisville a couple hours ago, which wasn't shocking. It was actually honestly shocking that Louisville did not try to go after him the first time when he entered the portal before the spring season. But I guess they had a pretty good recruit. They brought in, I don't know if they wanted to ruffle any feathers or what, but Brady Allen is going to Louisville. Michael Lamo is still searching for a home. I thought possibly we might bring him back, but honestly, with the offers out there for him, which is basically FCS, he's not a very high commodity right now. And again, seeing the LSU game, none of those quarterbacks looked very impressive. So without Brady Allen, we were down basically to Ryan Brown, who's a true freshman. Should be I think he was in prep though. So he's got some talent. Probably will have a pretty good future here, but I don't know if he'd be ready if something happened to Hudson, who again, mobile quarterback, obviously he's going to take more hits than Aiden did. So that, there could be, he's had injury problems in the past. So you need to have a decent quarterback. So we bring in a redshirt freshman, Bennett Meredith, from Arizona State, who actually, after doing some research, seemed like he was a pretty good prospect. Arizona State obviously had a coaching change, actually with a coach younger than Ryan Walters. And they brought in, I want to say, like 2 or 3 quarterbacks. And Meredith was a quarterback of the last staff, was a freshman, again, redshirted this past season. Apparently, though, played pretty darn good this spring and actually opened some eyes, but he just didn't really have a chance to win that job with them bringing in 3 guys, and it just wasn't going to happen. So we get a pretty decent prospect in Bennett Meredith. I think 6'5". He's kind of built actually like Brady Allen. I think maybe a little thinner, but a little more athletic, possibly. Might fit the air raid system better. But again, he's only a redshirt freshman. So if something does happen to Hudson, man, he's going to have to step up. So it looks like right now we have 2 scholarships remaining, which obviously things could change in that regard. One of those 2 scholarships is going to be taken within minutes to, an hour or a couple days. And then the other one could possibly be taken if Sean Stevens, the D2 West Liberty player, if his waiver goes through. So we could literally be full, by tomorrow. I'm not saying that, we might have a couple players, leave on their own will or get kicked off the team, if you will. There is a new rule, and it's been for a few years now that people don't know about it. That's basically if a new coach takes over a team, he's got 3 semesters basically to remove any player he wants from the team, and that player will still remain on scholarship. They just won't partake in any activities and they basically get cut, but they keep their scholarship. So that's still an option too. That's happened actually already with quite a few players to get us down to 83 scholarships. I should say 84 right now. So could that continue to happen, or could we have a surprising transfer out? Possibly. Never say never. But anyway, I'd kind of like to see us, if possible, and this is going to be probably easier said than done. Chance Nolan would have been a great would have been an absolutely, an A-plus portal addition from the backup quarterback spot. He chose TCU. He visited. That's actually part of the reason Brady Allen left. He would have been a great find, but you're not going to probably at this stage, you're not going to find a guy like Chance Nolan. The best bet, maybe you can get a guy from a lower division, but even then, I don't know why you would leave a starting job in the at D2. Well, maybe D2, but even an FCS school, to be a backup. But never say never, possibly. But their best bet's probably that, or find a graduate who's been a backup for a while, maybe started a few games, but he's definitely not going to win the starting job. Get one of those guys, but we'll see, man. The wide receiver position, I'm pretty excited about the two guys we brought in Jamal Edgerrin and Corey Gamage. Corey Gamage is really a nice looking prospect at I think they're both about 6'3", 220 pounds, somewhere around there. Your big receiver, kind of two Marshawn Rice's basically. They look like pretty good prospects. Excited about that. Very excited about those two. Corey Gamage was actually committed he came from Marshall. I don't know if I said that. He was committed to Memphis, and we had him on a visit a couple weeks ago. Flipped from Memphis to Purdue. Smart man. Edgerrin came from FAU, who actually we played, of course, this last year. He had one catch against us for 39 yards, and I think he had a couple other targets that were actually overthrown. You watch Edgerrin's tape. Actually, watch both their tapes. Very impressive physical receivers. Really receivers we haven't had at Purdue for some time, but they're both physical. They're very fast out of the break. Edgerrin's he was a redshirt freshman last year. Gamage is a sixth-year senior, so he's a grown man. Again, two great-looking and very underrated additions, I think, in the transfer portal. You will not see those two guys' name, I think, on incoming impact transfers. If you see any podcasts or anything like that, but those two, honestly, could put up some huge numbers in this offense. And we're still looking for an alpha receiver at Purdue. TJ Sheffield, I think, is going to have a pretty good season, but Charlie Jones is gone, who was, in my opinion, over-targeted a little bit last year, but it was an absolute stud for us. We don't have that alpha receiver. Brock Thompson is retired from football. Not that we're going to overly count on him anyway with his knee injuries, but there is a room. What I'm saying is there's room for an alpha receiver to be had. And could it be Gamage or Edgerrin? Or Edgerrin, I don't know if I'm saying his name right. Yeah, absolutely. Again, two physical, proven receivers, especially Gamage. I think he's had like 700 yards and like 6 or 7 touchdowns the past couple seasons. And then Edgerrin, he had a great year last year as a redshirt freshman. And just watch his tape it's impressive. It's impressive. Offensive line, we've had quite a few people leave in the offensive line. We've had, Spencer Holstead left right after I think Braum got hired to Louisville. Wasn't even in the bowl game. I don't think he was in the bowl game. I could be wrong about that, but I'm pretty sure he left right away to UCLA. We lost Eric Miller, who was, I guess you could pencil him in as a starter. He actually lost his job last year to Daniel Johnson. Then Daniel Johnson obviously got hurt, who was a transfer, I think from Kent State. So Daniel Johnson hopefully is helping, was going to surpass him anyway. But Eric Miller goes to Louisville, and then we lost Simeon Finau, can't say his name right, who was from FIU, I believe. He went to Arizona State. So you lose 3 guys there, and you also lost some other players that were, I think, cut. We'll just say cut. But you get Jalen Grant, who came in this spring from Bowling Green, kind of a center guard. Luke Griffin, who was pretty much a guard at Missouri. He was kind of their top reserve. He just committed. He is transferring from Missouri. I think he has 2 seasons left. Knows the offensive line coach, Johnson, that just came over from Missouri. And then Preston Nichols, who is coming from UNLV. This is his COVID year. I can't remember where he transferred from. He actually transferred I want to say like a school like Rhode Island or something smaller. But then Ben Farrell, who actually is from Indiana Wesleyan, NAIA school, who actually is another very under the radar find. You watch his tape, it looks good. He had NFL scouts. I think he's going to be I think he played tackle, I want to say, at Indiana Wesleyan, I think originally. And he got recruited by Maddox, who left, had some personal issues or something. That's why Marcus Johnson's now the head coach, now the offensive line coach. He is now no longer, obviously, Maddox is no longer here, but he recruited Farrell. I think he wanted him inside, but I'm pretty sure with what we've lost, Farrell might be on the outside at tackle. But I'd like to see us get another offensive lineman. Got some couple DNs coming in. Malik Langham from Vanderbilt, very highly recruited player, has quite frankly underperformed. Maybe he started in Florida, went to Vanderbilt. Maybe he can show out. Jeffrey Imba, who was the number 1 rated JUCO recruit last year from Auburn, played limited snaps last year, but when he played very well. He's probably one of our top ranked incoming recruits. Anthony Brown Jr., who played at Arkansas, just a redshirt freshman this year. Salim Turner Muhammad, who was a Stanford player, cornerback, is coming in. Going to go for one of the starting cornerback spots, perhaps. Marcus Wilson for Penn State. Very intriguing player. He was kind of buried in the depth chart at Penn State, but he did play both ways for a little bit. But he's actually talking to some Penn State guys. He's got a ton of potential, and I wouldn't be surprised to see him be an absolute stud on this defense. Braxton Myers, 4-star freshman, enrolled early at Ole Miss, is now coming to Purdue. His teammate, Markevius Brown, again, is going to commit at any time, it sounds like. And then Sean Stevens, another cornerback, is possibly, if he gets his waiver, he's going to join the Purdue Boilermakers. So that is our transfer class so far. Again, we've used 2 scholarships, or we have 2 scholarships remaining. We will see if one gets taken while I'm on this, or one seems like one has already been taken, but we'll see if that news gets dropped while we're on this live stream. But and then the other one could possibly be taken as well with Sean Stevens if that waiver gets approved. So, oh yeah, if you can see behind me, we got Purdue playing Iowa on the NCAA football simulator, and Purdue's up 20-3, man, in the third quarter. But anyway, yeah, we got 7 guys on here. Appreciate you guys being here. Again, if anybody wants to jump in, feel free to hit the link, the StreamYard show link. You can join in. Again, you don't have to show your face. We can just hear your voice. Bring up anything you want to discuss. If you want to talk some basketball too, feel free. Feel free to do that as well. Yeah. Or, like I said, feel free, guys, to leave a comment too if anything you want to discuss, or you have any, again, anything you want me to cover. Big Ten obviously has been in some discussion this week, and well, really for weeks now, with this Oregon-Washington thing. Expansion seems to be on the horizon. I wouldn't be surprised if something breaks in the next month or so. Who knows if that's actually going to happen, but it's just kind of weird to think about with Washington and Oregon. If they do indeed join the Big Ten, it's going to be interesting to say the least how that all comes to fruition. But I can't honestly say if I'm excited about that or if I'm just, I don't know. At this point, I'm kind of indifferent, to be honest with you. I'm not really excited about that, and I'm not really upset about it either. I guess it is what it is. It's a good thing we're in the Big Ten. I'll say that, though. It's not like it could be worse. Could be in the ACC or the Pac-12. Those conferences seem like they possibly could be doomed. So buckle up for these next couple of months, man. It might be wild, but yeah. So again, I think I touched on this earlier, but the Ryan Walters hire to me when we first announced it was, or really when it first picked up steam, kind of in the insider, chatter, if you will. Kind of was excited, but at the same time was kind of guarded. I remember even when we played Illinois, they were really talking Ryan Walters up, the announcers, and they were just singing his praises like crazy. And when they hired Walters, it seemed kind of underwhelming at the time. I mean, there were some big names that were being floated around, including the old Beamer Coach Beamer rumor, which turned out to be absolutely probably not true, but who knows? Maybe his agent was kind of fishing. But some of us thought, we were going to get a bigger name, if you will. But, I think it turned out awesome. I think, Ryan is actually the kind of guy we needed. I'll say something, Jeff Brom, you got to give Jeff Brom credit for turning this program around. We were in the dumpster, the absolute lowest of the lows. Jeff did a great job coming in that first year, bringing in some grad transfers, turning this program around, got to a bowl game, brought in some talent that we've not seen in a long time, and Rondell Moore and Karloftis, et cetera, David Bell. But there's no question the Louisville thing was a distraction. How much was Brom, and really invested here? That's Jeff Brom's a good coach, and I'm not. What I'm saying is I'm not trying to throw him under the bus, but to summarize this, I think honestly this was the perfect time for both Purdue and Jeff Brom to split. It was a divorce, and a good divorce. I think it's obviously going to turn out good for Jeff Brom, and it's going to, I think, turn out better for Purdue. I think both sides got a rare win in a divorce. I think it was just time. This 2023 season, had Jeff Brom stayed, I think would have been not so good. There was a lot of rumblings that a lot of players were going to transfer out, which a lot of players did transfer out anyway. But how much talent would Jeff have brought in? Would Jeff have been able to land Hudson Card? I don't think so. I think the Texas connection with Graham Harrell really helped there. Jeff is obviously bringing in some talent at Louisville. brought in Plummer, which was interesting at quarterback. But he's brought in some pretty good players. They obviously pay for their players down there, so and they have their own little recruiting thing going on. So Jeff really just has to coach, it sounds like. But we'll see how he does down there. I'm real kind of curious to see. Again, I'm indifferent on that too. But I think Purdue honestly is going to have a better season with Ryan Walters at the helm than it would have with Jeff Brom. I don't think that may not be a popular opinion, but I think that's where I'm thinking. I think, again, Ryan Walters is bringing in a young energy. He is excited to be here. He said multiple times that he's got everything he needs at Purdue. He wants to raise his family here. He wants them to grow old here, grow up, as Purdue fans. He wants to build this program and basically, get it on the map and stay on the map. Something that, I don't know if Jeff Brom ever said those words. I think Jeff was, I think Jeff's, was happy for the opportunity. Turned down Louisville once, and he wasn't going to do it twice. And I think, it didn't take a, brain surgeon to realize that there was a lot of writing on the wall. Coach Satterfield was an absolute wounded duck, just sitting there. He was a dead man walking. And after they lost a couple games, it was, kind of writing on the wall. And Satterfield kind of won a few, and you're like, oh, maybe, he's going to be safe. But, he ended up bolting for Cincinnati. Good for him getting out of there. And at that point, we all knew that Jeff was going to go to Louisville. But, again, I think both sides actually a rare win for both sides, if you ask me. So I don't think Jeff Brom could not recruit at Purdue like he could at Louisville. I think just his personality wise, again, he's a good coach, but I think, Louisville, the NIL machine they got going on there is what's going to help him more than anything. And then with us, the young energy of the staff, the relatability of the staff, the Ryan Walters and company is what's going to, it's already proven, they've already proven this, but that's what's going to help us in that regard. So again, I think both sides won there. But anyway, so if I had to grade Ryan Walters so far this offseason, this spring season, now heading into the summer, it's hard, honestly, to go anything lower than a B+, I think. He's lost a few players, but, the major players he did lose, Spencer Holstitch, he was already gone, I think, before even Ryan Walters got hired. If not, it was right afterwards. And then, the defensive lineman, Jack Sullivan, went to USC. Lawrence Johnson went to Auburn. And Branson Dean, who was a real good player, went to Miami. Those three, though, I don't know if they would have been back anyway. Possibly, but, the thought going around was that they were all they were going to graduate and move on. This is all before even Jeff Brom, was still here. So those three to me, wish those guys, they graduated from Purdue, wish them the absolute best, we'll root for them. No ill will there whatsoever. Again, in my mind, they were already gone anyway. Good for them, getting a payday and playing somewhere else. And I think all three of them are playing somewhere warm. So good for them in that regard. But really, those are obviously including Spencer, the four biggest losses this team has dealt with. If you think about it, a lot of the other players that we lost were reserves and very, buried reserves. Now the offensive line, again, two key players that would have been, either starters or, somewhere in the two deeps are gone. But we brought in some players to replace those guys. But could have been worse, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. Ryan Walters did a pretty good job of getting the guys to come together, maintaining a good culture and probably a better culture right now, honestly, and helping with the transition and not losing a bunch of more key players, guys like TJ Sheffield or Gus Hartwick or players in that regard. So I guess with that, looks like we might get somebody to joining. Nope, disconnected. Mad Max was on and now he's off. Let's say, man, if anybody wants to jump on, feel free, man. You can save my voice. I can't believe we've been going already for 30 minutes. Again, I just wanted to get back on here and just start talking and kind of get some Purdue football discussion into the internet, because again, you really got to go looking for it right now because there is not much to be had online. I guess what we could do if you want. Could talk about the kind of the depth chart, if you will. Again, this is actually, I got this from AZ Boiler. If you're watching, thanks for putting this together. This is pretty cool. Let's see here. So this should be updated. So your offensive line, you obviously got Musa at one left tackle spot. He's only a sophomore, had a pretty good year last year. He's going to improve, I think. Marcus Bowe is your best player on the offensive line. He's going to be currently penciled in right guard, which I would agree with. Possibly could go out to tackle if he needs to. If you're going to grade this guy, he'd be mid-80s, if not higher in the guard spot, and probably, high 70s, low 80s on the tackle spot. He's a better guard than tackle. And then Daniel Johnson, who tore his ACL at Maryland, so that was, game 7 or so. Hopefully he's healthy, because if he is healthy, he'll probably start at the tackle. You put Bowe inside. Ben Farrell could also possibly start at tackle. Center Gus Hartwick is, he had that serious injury. I want to say, was that game 11 or 12? I think it was game 11. Is he going to be ready in time? I mean, at this point, I kind of doubt it. Luckily, we brought a bunch of guys in that can play center, starting with Jalen Grant, who played center this spring. And then don't forget Josh Kaltenberger, who played center the last couple games. But Jalen Grant will probably start off at center, it sounds like. Luke Griffin, who just came in from Missouri, he'll probably be one of the guards. Preston Nichols could also be one of the guards, or even Ben Farrell. So, the good news is here is you got, 8 or 9 capable bodies. I'd like to see maybe one more, though, to help us out, especially a tackle. Because right now, if you look at the tackle spot, you got Andre Oben, who could be a good player, but he's young, and Nayland Fox, who is somebody that's been here a while and has not contributed. Tight end, Garrett Miller, another player coming off of an ACL injury in the fall. If he's healthy, he's going to have a big year. He is going to be great in this Graham Harrell offense, who I think is going to use the tight end a little bit more than Leach and company did. Paul Paferi's back. He'll be a solid number 2. And you got some younger players there. Wide receiver is, again, no alphas on this team right now. Could there be one coming in? Possibly. You got Marshawn Rice there, Elijah Cannon, who apparently had a pretty good spring. Corey Gamage, pretty good. Not pretty good, a very good portal get. Could be the starter. Armand Branch, going to be a freshman. Or no, I'm sorry. I think he's a sophomore. TJ Sheffield should have a pretty good year. Abdul Rahim Yassin, highly recruited recruit. Hopefully we'll have a healthy season and be able to step up. Zion Steptoe, looking forward to seeing him play. Deion Burks had a pretty good spring, it seems like. He'll be pretty good in this offense. Jamal Edrin, we talked about. And then you got some other young players. I'm sure I've missed a few players. I'm just kind of running through this. Quarterback, obviously, we talked about Hudson Card. This season is going to come down to, in my opinion, really, can Hudson Card stay healthy? That is going to be the big, the must, because right now behind him, you got an unproven redshirt freshman and a true freshman. Running backs, Maccabee's back on scholarship. Expect him a good year. You know, he's got an offseason knowing he's going to be the guy. Another year in the weight room. Dylan Downing, also on scholarship now. Tyrone Tracy, who was wide receiver, who started out his career. I don't actually know. I think when he first came to Iowa, he actually was recruited as a wide receiver. But in high school, he was a very good running back. He's now back at running back. You know, Purdue last year kind of had him running back occasionally. He's full-time running back now. So he may surprise us. That fourth running back is a true freshman, Christian Womack, who just committed. Actually, was going to JUCO. We've had a couple of these guys that we've gotten late that have great film, which is no offers for whatever reason. But he's another guy. You look at his film, man. Reminds me of Maccabee quite a bit, and I think he's going to be a pretty good player for us. That's your offense. Again, this offense with the Graham Harrell air raid system is going to be probably a lot less complicated than what Brom ran. A lot less things to know, if you will, and let the players play, make plays, get open. I think some of the guys are going to be a lot better in the system than they were in the Brom system. Switching to defense, this is obviously Ryan Walters' bread and butter with Kane. So he's got Jeffrey Mba, one of the D tackles, Cole Brevard, transfer from Penn State, had a good year last year. Marjay Lewis coming off an ACL. You know, if he's healthy, he'll have a big year. So this is kind of, again, different system that we've actually had here. It's almost like a 5-2 sort of. You got, the three, you got basically two D tackles and then DN that's kind of a D tackle also. So three defensive tackles almost. So Isaiah Nichols, Cole Brevard, and Jeffrey Mba. Or you have Prince Boyd, Marjay Lewis. Those three big bodies, and then you got your offensive line. Outside linebackers are actually more defensive ends in the system that we're used to at Purdue, with Nick Carraway and Corday Sinor, and then Kydron Jenkins, who's probably one of our honestly best defensive players. Those guys used to line up on the outside, which they still will. But in this system, again, it's a little bit different. Could have, 5 guys on the line of scrimmage. Cornerbacks, Ryan Walters has completely – before I go there, let's go to the inside linebackers. I was honestly a little surprised that Purdue did not address this. Sooner. Did not address this – sorry, I'm reading a comment. Address this in the transfer portal. Wahlberg and Brothers are two pretty good starters, but I was kind of surprised I didn't go after anybody. Greer says depth chart is wrong. Farrell was brought to play inside. Yeah, I mentioned that earlier, Greer. That was initially what he was recruited for by Maddox, and I assume that's still the plan. But with us losing Eric Miller and not gaining a tackle, he played at Westlake. Maybe that's still the plan. He might still be a guard, but I wouldn't be surprised. Maybe they push him out to tackle, but who knows? I could be completely wrong. Appreciate you being here, Greer. Again, if anybody wants to jump on in, feel free. And again, I did not make this depth chart. This is AZ Boiler, but I pretty much agree with everything for the most part he has on here. So I just, he did it all nicely. So I just kind of stole it from him and just kind of looking at it. But inside linebackers, not a ton of depth there. Hopefully those guys can hold up. Cornerbacks, Ryan Walters pretty much kicked everybody out except Jamari Brown, who honestly was pretty hot and cold last year. Marquise Wilson, I think, is going to be a big-time player for Purdue. Salim Turner Muhammad will be probably steady Eddie at the other starter. If Sean Stevens gets here, I think he'll be your nickel. And really, that's probably going to be your top three guys, with Jamari Brown being your fourth. They had some highly recruited guys that were transfers coming in from Ole Miss. Those guys might – I think actually the one that might be committing any minute or tomorrow was starting in the spring game for Ole Miss, so he could be a starter. And then your safeties, you have Kane and Cam Allen back. Antonio Stevens as the backup, who had pretty good spring and apparently is pretty close to being 100%, if not 100% health after a terrible injury a couple of years ago against Nebraska. So that's your again, minus two cornerbacks that we could be landing here pretty soon. That's your team. And then your kicker, Ben Freehill, who won the job in the spring, is now on scholarship. He actually was a transfer from Oklahoma State a few years ago as a walk-on. And Jack Ansel, who's now a junior. So I guess the question is there, is that enough talent to win 8 games, to get to a bowl game? Maybe that should be the expectation of 6 games. Me quit saying 8, but it's definitely possible. A lot's going to have to come together. We're going to see how good of a coach Ryan Walters is. I think that defense has a lot of talent. I really do, especially now that the cornerbacks have been shored up. And hopefully he can coach up the safeties. I know Kane Sanusi's a good player. He had a good year last year. Cam Allen regressed last year, but with some good coaching, hopefully he'll be back to where he was a couple of years ago. Hopefully these guys teach tackling, because that secondary was atrocious last year at tackling. Terrible. Just seeing if there's anything else kind of to discuss. So if I had to rank kind of the still the most glaring needs on this roster, I think I would have to say offensive line, just because we've lost some pieces, although we brought some pieces in, but never can have too many tackles. We don't have a ton of tackles. Plus, I think you're relying on Daniel Johnson to be healthy. And, when Fall's here, that's not even a year since he tore his ACL. So, you really need him to be healthy. I would love if they could find another tackle. And then quarterback position. If Hudson Card gets hurt, this season might be a disaster. No, I don't want to say disaster, but obviously it won't be up to expectations that we're all hoping for. Again, have a few of you guys on. Feel free to chat. Send any topic. I'm running out of topics, to be honest with you guys. Again, I just kind of want to get on here and ramble, which I've done now for almost 45 minutes. This is probably a mess of a live stream, but again, it's been a while. Figured to put out something. I was just going to do a recorded video, but why not go live just for the heck of it? So here I am. But if you have any topics you want to hit, feel free to leave a comment again, or if somebody would like to get on and talk, please do. Again, the link is in the comment section. I will post it. Whoops, that's not it. I will post it one more time. There it is. That doesn't help you, though. So, yeah. Running out of things to talk about. Cover the transfers. I guess we can look real quick, who's leaving. Let's look at that here. Yep. Let's see here. Uh-oh, I think I lost my Excel file. But maybe not, guys. I thought I would have... Oh, there we go. Okay. Let's see if I can get it to sort. What are we doing here? There we go. It's going to be a mess. Anyway, I was trying to see who's leaving. There's a pretty good thing on here, but I messed it up. All right, let's stop that. Loading up a bookmark, see if I can get it here. All right. Again, if you want to join, hit the link, or if you want me to talk about something, please comment. Probably if we get some discussion, and I'll continue, but if not, I will probably wrap it up here soon. We're kind of dragging on right now. Yes, it is. These always go easier when you have somebody co-hosting with you. All right, here we go. Okay, so players leaving. Again, thank you for AZ Boiler for putting this together. Spencer Holstedge went to UCLA, Eric Miller to Louisville, Jack Sullivan to USC. Again, none of those are, well, Spencer Holstedge was surprising. These other ones were not. Branson Dean to Miami. I always butcher his name. Sanoe Fanau went to Arizona State. That was a surprise. He actually transferred like in the middle of spring while he was starting, so he was probably tampered with, but whatever. Lawrence Johnson went to Auburn, not surprising. Kobe Lewis went to FAU, that's not surprising, didn't really impact here. Brock Thompson retired due to health. Camden Childress, excuse me, or Childers, I didn't say that wrong. He went to Finley. He was a walk-on. So Colin Sullivan still in the portal. I had pretty high expectations for Colin. I thought would be a pretty good receiver when he committed here. Had a great video. Just seemed to be kind of a step slow. Tristan Cox, which went to Ohio. He was like a DN, fullback, linebacker here for us. Again, a depth piece, very far depth piece. Brandon Callaway, I think, just went to Colorado, perhaps. A guy that wasn't going to see the field. Javon Grigsby, another guy. Had high hopes for. Apparently, Ryan Walters didn't see the fit. Brady Allen went to Louisville. Greg Hudgens, who was, I think, pretty high recruit, went to Charlotte. Charlie Kenrick still in the portal. Tight end that doesn't really fit this system. T. Denson. There was some question about whether he was going to be healthy. I thought he would have been a pretty decent corner still under Walters, but I guess he saw the writing on the wall. He got out, still in the portal. Kentrell Marks, running back that wasn't going to hit, seems to be another running back miss. All the good running backs that were recruited by the last regime were walk-ons that are now on scholarship. Jordan Buchanan, I think, also went to Colorado, cornerback. Retired. I talked about earlier, a couple of these players can retire and still stay on scholarship with this new coaching rule. New coach gets to either cut or whatever players, and they can stay on scholarship, but they're not part of the team. They don't count against 85. Cross Watson, Jared Pasinski, Ryan Brandt, and Ben Kroll. And then also, who's not on here, I don't believe, is Preston Terrell, who's also retired. So. Yeah. All right, guys. Again, if you want to, feel free to leave a comment in the chat, or I should say a chat comment. If you have anything else you want me to cover, otherwise I might wrap it up. Or please, if anybody wants to join, feel free to hop on. Again, you don't have to show your face. You can just talk with your cell phone. You don't have to have a web camera. You don't have to have a microphone, computer webcam or microphone. You can just treat it like a call-in show, basically, just by using that StreamYard link that is in the comment section of the video. Still have a couple of you guys on here. Probably will have a couple other videos, maybe not a live stream, but maybe start breaking down positions more closely, in the coming weeks. Again, this roster might be set in the next coming days. Not saying that things can't happen. We might lose a player or two unexpectedly. Things of that nature. And then obviously we'll have an actual season preview. Probably have my brother back on. We'll go through positions, the depth chart at that time, and then probably during fall camp, and then a schedule preview. Purdue's schedule is obviously it's harder than last year's. Well, by default, because you have Ohio State and Michigan. Ohio State at home, Michigan on the road. Those are two tough games. They're toughest games, compared to what we had last year. Think about it though. Really, let's say Michigan replaces Penn State. That was a tough game. Ohio State, takes the place of the Maryland game. That's obviously a lot harder game, playing Ohio State. And who's the other cross? Oh, IU, obviously. So IU should be, I think, in shambles by that time. So I'm not expecting much out of IU this year. But so you look at the schedule, look at the non-con. You start with Fresno State. Fresno State had a great year last year. They lost a ton of their players, including their QB. I think we should be able to handle them pretty good. Then you travel to Virginia Tech, who is a terrible team now, surprisingly. I really, though, have not paid them any attention. I don't know what they've done in the transfer portal. They could be improved. Who knows? That's a tough game, though. You got to go, to Blacksburg. I don't know if that's got a time yet. But if that's a night game, that's going to be a tough environment. Then you come home and you play against Syracuse, who is going to be most likely down from last year. I've not really researched any other teams too much. I don't know if that quarterback is back. I don't think he is. I know the running back is gone, who I don't think got drafted, surprisingly, but he got picked up, I saw, by somebody. They should be probably worse off, I would think, losing all that talent. I'd expect Purdue to win that one. I don't have the schedule in front of me, but I think Purdue, again, they could possibly be 3-0, and then I believe Wisconsin. I might even just bring it up. Why not? I'm looking at this thing. I think just a quick. I'll end with this again, unless somebody wants to comment or join. Feel free to do so, and then we can continue. But really quick schedule overview, and it's too early though. But yeah, so okay, it is. Yeah, so then after the Syracuse game, you got a Friday night game, the first, I believe. I was surprised by this, but I guess the weekday games have only been Thursday nights. Purdue plays at home on a Friday against Wisconsin. So I love having Wisconsin in that time slot. I think that's perfect. Ross H should be rocking. If Purdue's 3-0, it's really going to be rocking. If they beat Wisconsin somehow against Luke Fickell, the Ryan Walters hype train will be in full effect. And then you got, which is crazy. So, this is best case. I'm doing best case scenario here. If Purdue's 4-0 going against, or again, they could be 3-0. If they win that Wisconsin game, they're 4-0. They got Illinois at home. I don't think Illinois is going to be much improved. we'll see. Then you got, so I mean, that, theoretically, it's probably not going to happen. Purdue could be 5-0 going at Iowa. That's going to be a tough game. Iowa probably, who knows how it'll be. Then you got Ohio State at home. Let's just say that's 5-2. Purdue plays Nebraska. That's going to be a tough game. Could be one or below. 5-3. Now we're kind of doing worst case. At Michigan, lost. 5-4. At home against Minnesota, 6-4. At Northwestern, win. 7-4. Purdue and Indiana, 8-4. There you go. I mean, there's 8 wins. Yeah, but I think I've rambled enough, guys. Appreciate those that joined me tonight. Again, we're just rambling away. Give you more notice next time. Probably we'll do a video here in the future. Maybe not a live stream, but again, thanks for joining. God bless you. We'll see you.